First contact's price tag. The emergency alert blared through SETI's Arecibo facility at 3:47 a.m. local time. Dr. Sarah Chen had been dozing at her desk, surrounded by star charts and signal analysis readouts, when the computer's urgent warning jolted her awake. The incoming signal was like nothing they'd ever seen before, a tightly focused beam of coherent radiation carrying what could only be artificial patterns. But it wasn't coming from deep space. The source was much closer, just beyond Mars' orbit. Within hours, every major observatory on Earth had confirmed it. A ship of clearly alien design was decelerating toward Earth, broadcasting on multiple frequencies in what appeared to be a standard first contact protocol. The vessel's hull bore obvious battle damage, and its trajectory suggested it was running on minimal power. "They're asking for permission to dock at the International Space Station," General Miranda Hayes reported during the hastily convened UN Security Council meeting. "Their messages indicate they're a merchant vessel seeking emergency repairs and sanctuary." The ship's captain identified himself as Ixel Voss of the Free Traders Alliance. His crystalline features filled the screens at the UN as he made his case with an urgency that transcended species barriers. "We come seeking both aid and to offer warning," he transmitted. "Your world stands at a crucial threshold. The Galactic Commerce Guild will soon detect your emerging industrial capacity. When they do, they will come bearing gifts that carry hidden costs." Dr. Chen studied the alien's translucent form, noting how light seemed to ripple through complex internal structures as he spoke. The universal translator they'd provided was remarkably effective, though she suspected it was conveying only a fraction of the nuanced meanings being transmitted through those shifting patterns of illumination. "The Guild presents itself as a benevolent force for development," Voss continued. "They offer technology, trade routes, and protection. But their true business is dependency. They have perfected the art of turning thriving civilizations into perpetual debtors." The Security Council chambers erupted in overlapping questions, but President Reyes of Mexico cut through the chaos with a single query. "Why warn us? What do you gain?" Voss's crystalline form dimmed slightly. "Because we were once like you. The Free Traders Alliance formed from the remnants of species who escaped guild control, but we are too few to oppose them directly. We seek partners, not servants. Your world's position and resources could tip the balance if you avoid their trap." Over the next several days, as Earth's engineers helped repair Voss's ship, he shared detailed records of guild operations. The pattern was consistent across hundreds of worlds. The guild would arrive offering miraculous technologies at seemingly reasonable prices, but the maintenance costs were carefully calculated to exceed any possible returns. Worlds would take on more debt to keep their new infrastructure running, eventually surrendering resources and autonomy to their creditors. "They're loan sharks on a galactic scale," Dr. Chen explained to the UN Economic Council. "The interest rates are hidden in maintenance contracts, upgrade requirements, and proprietary replacement parts. No one can ever pay off the principal." But Voss had brought more than warnings. The Free Traders offered Earth a different path: limited but sustainable technology transfers, fair trade agreements, and most importantly, intelligence about guild operations. They would help humanity prepare for the inevitable contact, if Earth would serve as a safe harbor for independent merchants. General Hayes saw the military implications immediately. "We'd be building a forward base for anti-guild operations, right where they don't expect resistance. The strategic value alone would be worth the risk." President Zhang of China raised the crucial question: "How long do we have before the Guild discovers Earth?" "Based on your current industrial emissions and energy signatures, perhaps 2 of your years," Voss replied. "We can help you mask those signatures, buy more time to prepare, but they will come eventually." The debate raged for weeks in closed sessions. Some argued for accepting guild contact on their own terms, believing humanity could avoid the traps that had snared others. But as analysts pored over Voss's data, a different consensus emerged. Earth would align with the Free Traders, but on their own terms. Dr. Chen found Voss in the ISS observation module the night before his departure, his crystalline form refracting the light of Earth below into complex patterns. "Your people are unlike any we've encountered," he said without turning. "Most species leap at the Guild's offers, dazzled by the technology. You immediately looked for the hidden costs." "We have a long history of dealing with predatory powers," she replied, "and an equally long history of resistance. The Guild believes resistance is futile once they establish economic dominance," Voss said. "They have never encountered a species that prepared for them in advance. This will be interesting." As Voss's repaired ship disappeared into the darkness, Earth's governments began implementing their preparation plans. New colonies would be established in secret, using free trader technology to mask their signatures. Industries would be restructured to appear less advanced than they were. And most importantly, humanity would be ready when the Guild's representatives arrived with their poisoned gifts. The game would be rigged, but for once, Earth would know the rules before they started playing. The fine print. 18 months after Voss's departure, Dr. Chen stood in the underground facility beneath the Rocky Mountains, surrounded by holographic displays showing the fruits of humanity's preparation. The room hummed with activity as scientists and military personnel monitored signals from a dozen cover colonies, each carefully shielded from detection using free trader technology. "Status report on Project Masquerade," General Hayes asked, her footsteps echoing as she entered the command center. "Right on schedule," Dr. Chen replied, gesturing to a simulation of Earth's technological signature. "From the outside, we look like a civilization just discovering basic fusion power. Our more advanced facilities are either shielded or relocated to the shadow colonies." The general nodded, studying the real-time feed from their lunar base, now hidden beneath a sophisticated cloaking system. "And the free traders. They've established regular supply routes through the Kuiper Belt, well away from standard Guild patrol vectors. Voss's latest communication indicates the Guild has noticed Earth, just as predicted. They're dispatching a contact team." The warning came 3 days later. Guild ships appeared in high Earth orbit, their massive hulls gleaming with an artificial perfection that made them look more like computer renders than real vessels. Their design screamed power and technological superiority, exactly as intended. The Guild's representative, a being that called itself Commercial Overseer Nexus, appeared as a shimmering hologram before the UN Security Council. Its form was humanoid but clearly artificial, a choice meant to put the primitives at ease while simultaneously displaying their advanced technology. "We have observed your civilization's progress with great interest," Nexus announced, its voice carrying the practiced smoothness of a seasoned salesperson. "The Guild wishes to extend an invitation to join our grand network of trading partners." President Zhang played her role perfectly, affecting just the right mix of awe and cautious interest. "We are honored by your offer, but surely our technology level is too primitive to be of interest to such an advanced civilization." "Oh, not at all," Nexus replied, holographic fingers spreading to display a dazzling array of technological marvels. "The Guild specializes in uplifting promising species. We can offer you clean energy, advanced medical technology, FTL travel, all at very reasonable terms." Over the next week, Guild representatives presented their standard package to Earth's leaders. Dr. Chen watched from her hidden command center as they deployed every trick Voss had warned them about. The initial terms seemed generous, but buried in the technical specifications were the hooks. Proprietary systems that would require constant maintenance, upgrade paths that would force dependency, and hidden clauses that would gradually cede control of Earth's resources to Guild management. "They're following the playbook exactly," she muttered, highlighting another predatory clause in the agreement. "Right down to the paragraph formatting." General Hayes smiled grimly. "Good. The more predictable they are, the better our countermeasures will work." The Guild representatives grew increasingly frustrated as Earth's negotiators scrutinized every detail of the agreement. They had expected eager acceptance, not methodical analysis. When Earth's team requested clarification on maintenance costs, Nexus's holographic form flickered with barely concealed irritation. "These are standard terms," it insisted. "Hundreds of civilizations have benefited from our development program." "We're simply being thorough," President Zheng replied calmly. "After all, this agreement will shape our civilization's future. We want to ensure we understand all implications." Meanwhile, in secret facilities across the solar system, human engineers worked with free trader technical advisors, developing parallel technologies that mimicked guild capabilities without the hidden dependencies. The trick wasn't matching their advancement level. It was creating systems that appeared more primitive while actually being more robust and independent. Dr. Chen's team made a breakthrough in the third week of negotiations. They discovered that guild technology deliberately created specific energy signatures that allowed them to track and control their partners across vast distances. Armed with this knowledge, they could develop countermeasures before accepting any guild equipment. "They're getting suspicious," General Hayes reported after another round of talks. Nexus asked pointed questions about our development timeline. "They're wondering why we're not more desperate for their technology." "Let them wonder," Dr. Chen replied, pulling up feeds from their hidden colonies. "Every day they spend trying to convince us gives our people more time to prepare." The free traders just delivered another shipment of shield generators for the Mars base. The guild's patience finally broke after a month of negotiations. Nexus delivered what was clearly meant to be an ultimatum, though it was couched in diplomatic terms. "While we appreciate your thoroughness, we must point out that this opportunity is time-sensitive. Many other civilizations would be eager to receive our assistance. Perhaps your species needs more time to mature." President Zheng exchanged glances with her advisors, then delivered the response they'd prepared from the beginning. "You may be right. While we're honored by your offer, we feel we should focus on developing our own capabilities for now. Perhaps we could revisit this discussion in a few years." The look of utter confusion that crossed Nexus's holographic features was almost comical. No species had ever voluntarily delayed guild membership. It went against every model of technological development in their database. As the guild ships departed Earth orbit, Dr. Chen watched from her command center with grim satisfaction. "They'll be back," she said. "But next time, they'll find a very different Earth than the one they're expecting." In the depths of space, hidden from guild sensors by free trader technology, humanity's shadow colonies continued to grow. The guild had just made their first major miscalculation in centuries. They had given humanity time to prepare. Underground networks. 6 months after rejecting the guild's offer, Earth's secret was growing. Deep in the Kuiper Belt, the research vessel Magellan drifted silently among the ice fragments, its advanced cloaking systems making it invisible to all but the most sophisticated sensors. Inside, Dr. Chen watched as another ship emerged from faster-than-light travel, this one bearing the distinctive organic architecture of the sylphid, a species that had escaped guild control generations ago. "That's the third new species this month," General Hayes noted, her hologram flickering slightly due to the extreme distance from Earth, word spreading through the underground networks. The sylphid vessel's captain, a being that appeared to be made of living crystal and flowing water, materialized in their conference room. Unlike the guild's cold perfection, the sylphid's crystalline form pulsed with warm, living light. "Your reputation grows, children of Earth," the captain said, its voice creating ripples in the air. "When we heard a newly discovered world had rejected guild membership, we had to see for ourselves." Dr. Chen had grown used to being called children by older species. "We had good teachers," she replied, nodding to Voss, who stood quietly in the corner. "And we learned quickly." The sylphid captain's form shimmered with what they had learned was amusement. "So we've heard. You've accomplished in months what took other species decades, building a hidden infrastructure right under the guild's sensors." The meeting that followed revealed just how extensive the underground resistance to guild control had become. The sylphid weren't alone. Dozens of species had maintained secret independence, sharing resources and technology through carefully hidden networks. Earth's strategic position and rapid development had caught their attention. "We've established trading posts in 17 star systems," General Hayes reported, displaying a holographic map of human expansion. The colonies glowed like hidden jewels, each carefully masked from guild detection. "Our ships may look primitive on the outside, but they're as capable as anything the guild fields." The Sylphid captain studied the display with interest. "Impressive. But the guild will return." "They always do. We're counting on it," Dr. Chen replied, activating another display. This one showed the true extent of Earth's preparation. Hidden shipyards in the asteroid belt, manufacturing centers buried under the surfaces of distant moons, and a network of sensors that gave them advance warning of any guild activity in the sector. "The free traders taught us their cloaking technology," she explained, "but we've improved on it. We can hide entire star systems now." The Sylphid's crystalline form pulsed with surprise. "You've surpassed your teachers already." Voss's own crystalline body glowed with what Dr. Chen had learned was pride. "Humans have a unique way of looking at problems. They don't accept limitations easily." The conversation turned to trade and mutual defense. The Sylphid, it turned out, were masters of biological technology, capable of growing ships and stations that could repair themselves. Other species in their network had their own specialties. The Nexari were experts in quantum computing, the Draconids had mastered gravity manipulation, and the reclusive Mistweavers could create wormholes stable enough for trade ships to pass through. "Each of us escaped guild control in our own way," the Sylphid captain explained. "But we've never had the numbers or resources to challenge their dominance openly. Your world changes that equation." General Hayes leaned forward, her hologram sharpening with interest. "How so?" "Earth sits at a crucial junction of guild trade routes. Your solar system's unusual composition makes it perfect for hiding large-scale operations. And your species," the captain's crystalline form rippled. "Your species thinks differently. You saw through their tricks immediately and prepared accordingly." Dr. Chen shared a look with Voss. They had suspected Earth's strategic value, but hearing it confirmed by another ancient species was validating. "We're building more than just hidden colonies," she said. "We're creating an alternative." The displays shifted to show Earth's latest project, a massive space station being constructed in a dimensional pocket created by Mistweaver technology. It would serve as a free port for independent traders, a place where species could exchange goods and knowledge without guild oversight. "The guild's power comes from controlling the flow of trade and technology," General Hayes explained. "We're building bypasses around their checkpoints, alternative routes that don't appear on their maps." The Sylphid captain's form blazed with excitement, a shadow economy to counter their monopoly. Brilliant in its simplicity. But the meeting was interrupted by an urgent signal from Earth's early warning network. Guild ships had been detected entering the outer solar system, more than during their first visit, and carrying what appeared to be military escorts. "Right on schedule," Dr. Chen said grimly. "They're back sooner than they announced, hoping to catch us unprepared." The Sylphid captain's form hardened into sharp crystalline facets. "You expected this." "We've been monitoring their communications," General Hayes replied. "They've been losing control of several frontier worlds. They think making an example of Earth will discourage others from rejecting their offers. They have no idea," Voss said softly, "that they're about to make the biggest mistake in their history." As the guild ships approached Earth, hidden sensors tracked their every move. In secret bases throughout the solar system, human and alien crews prepared for the confrontation to come. The guild thought they were dealing with a primitive civilization that had foolishly rejected their help. They were about to discover just how wrong they were. The guild's gambit. The guild fleet emerged from hyperspace in perfect formation, their ships arranged in a display of overwhelming force. 20 capital ships, each large enough to dwarf Earth's largest space stations, formed a barrier between Earth and the rest of the solar system. Their message was clear: submit or be isolated. From her command center beneath the Rocky Mountains, Dr. Chen watched the guild's arrival with calculated calm. "They're positioning themselves exactly where we predicted," she noted, marking key tactical positions on the holographic display. Commercial Overseer Nexus's hologram appeared before the UN Security Council once again, but this time there was no pretense of friendly negotiation. "Your species has been designated an economic threat," it announced, its artificial features set in stern disapproval. "Your rejection of guild membership has encouraged unrest in other developing worlds. This cannot be allowed to continue." President Zhang maintained her composure, though her eyes flickered briefly to the hidden signal from General Hayes. "All defense systems were ready." "We are an independent world," she replied calmly. "We have the right to choose our own path of development, a path that involves illegal trade with known guild separatists." Nexus's hologram grew larger, looming over the assembly. "We have detected unusual energy signatures throughout your system. You have been accepting unauthorized technology transfers from embargoed species." In her command center, Dr. Chen smiled. The guild had taken the bait, revealing the extent of their surveillance without realizing how much they hadn't detected. She sent a coded signal to the hidden fleet waiting in the dimensional pocket near Jupiter. "These are serious accusations," President Zhang responded, her voice steady. "Do you have evidence to support them?" Nexus's hologram rippled with what might have been satisfaction. "We have tracked illegal free trader vessels making contact with your outposts. Your system shows signs of technological advancement far beyond your natural development curve. The guild cannot allow such destabilizing activities to continue." The hologram expanded, showing a document that appeared in front of every UN delegate. "We are prepared to be merciful. Sign this emergency integration treaty, and your world will be granted provisional guild membership under direct oversight. Refuse, and we will be forced to implement a complete quarantine of your system." General Hayes's hologram appeared in Dr. Chen's command center. "They've activated their interdiction fields," she reported. "Standard guild containment protocol. They're trying to cut off all FTL travel in the system." "Right into our trap," Dr. Chen replied. She opened a channel to their hidden allies. "Initiate Operation Ghost Road." Throughout the solar system, carefully hidden Mistweaver devices activated, creating stable wormhole passages that bypassed the guild's interdiction fields completely. At the same time, the advanced sensors they developed with Sylphid technology began broadcasting on frequencies that disrupted the guild ship's automated systems. In orbit, the guild fleet's perfect formation began to waver as their ship's artificial intelligence networks experienced unexpected errors. Nexus's hologram flickered, its confident expression replaced by confusion. What are you doing?" it demanded. "Our sensors detect no defensive installations capable of this interference." President Zhang allowed herself a small smile. "Perhaps your sensors aren't as reliable as you thought." The guild's response was predictable. They launched their automated enforcement drones, thousands of small vessels designed to overwhelm primitive planetary defenses. But as the drones approached Earth's atmosphere, they encountered invisible barriers, gravitational fields manipulated by draconic technology, redirecting them into harmless orbits. "Impossible," Nexus declared, its holographic form showing signs of genuine distress. "Your species does not have this level of technology. Our development models are quite clear on this point." "Your models," General Hayes replied, her hologram appearing beside President Zhang, "are based on isolated worlds trying to resist you alone. We chose a different path." As if on cue, ships began emerging from hidden positions throughout the solar system. Some bore the organic architecture of the Sylphid, others the crystalline structures of free trader vessels, and still others the advanced designs of human engineering. But most importantly, they appeared from directions the guild's interdiction fields weren't covering. "You see," Dr. Chen explained, her own hologram joining the others, "while you were watching for primitive radio signals and basic fusion drives, we were building something new. Not just ships and stations, but alliances, partnerships with others who remember what it was like to be trapped in your economic web." The Guild fleet's formation had completely broken down now, their ships moving into defensive positions as more vessels emerged from hiding. They found themselves surrounded by a force that matched them not just in numbers, but in technological capability. "This is your final warning," Nexus announced, though its voice had lost its commanding tone. "The Guild will not tolerate this level of organized resistance. The consequences, President Zhang interrupted, are already in motion. Check your market reports, Overseer Nexus. While you were focused on blockading Earth, our allies have been very busy elsewhere in Guild space." Dr. Chen watched with satisfaction as new data flooded the Guild's networks. Reports of free trader ships appearing in supposedly secure systems, hidden colonies revealing themselves across Guild space, and most devastatingly, evidence of centuries of Guild manipulation being broadcast on all frequencies, reaching every member world simultaneously. The Guild fleet's response would determine whether this ended in peaceful reform or open conflict. Either way, their monopoly on galactic trade was about to change forever. Breaking the chains. The Guild's mighty fleet hung motionless in Earth's orbit, surrounded by the combined forces of humanity and their allies. Commercial Overseer Nexus's hologram had frozen mid-threat, its artificial features locked in an expression of calculated menace that now seemed almost comical. "They're receiving the full data package now," Dr. Chen reported, watching as information flooded through the Guild's supposedly secure networks. Every corrupt contract, every hidden clause, every world they've deliberately kept in debt, all being broadcast simultaneously across Guild space. The silence stretched for what felt like hours but was probably only minutes. Finally, Nexus's hologram flickered back to life, but its confident demeanor had vanished. This is an unprecedented situation," it stated, artificial voice struggling to maintain authority. "No," President Zhang corrected firmly. "This is unprecedented alliance. For too long, the Guild has survived by keeping developing worlds isolated, making each believe they faced their choices alone. That ends today." As if to emphasize her point, new ships continued to emerge from hidden positions across the solar system. The Sylphid's organic vessels pulsed with living light, while free trader ships sparkled like crystal formations in space. Human vessels, their designs a perfect fusion of multiple alien technologies, moved with precision that matched anything the Guild could field. "Your economic models never accounted for this, did they?" General Hayes asked, her hologram appearing alongside the president's. "A species that would choose cooperation over submission, that would build partnerships instead of accepting dependency." Nexus's form shifted, its programming apparently struggling to find an appropriate response to a situation outside its parameters. "The Guild Council will not accept this level of organized resistance. The economic stability of thousands of worlds depends on our system." "No," Dr. Chen interrupted, joining the conversation. "It depends on the flow of trade and technology, something we can now facilitate without your artificial restrictions. The only thing that depends on the Guild is the Guild itself." The displays around them lit up with new information, reports from across Guild space as their broadcast reached more worlds. Multiple systems were already declaring their independence from Guild control. Hidden networks of resistance, inspired by Earth's example, were emerging from the shadows. "Your choice is simple," President Zhang stated calmly. "The Guild can adapt to a new reality of free trade and genuine partnership, or it can watch its power crumble as more worlds choose independence. Either way, the old system ends today." In her command center, Dr. Chen watched as the Guild fleet's formation shifted. Several ships were already powering down their weapon systems, their captains clearly reading the situation better than their leaders. Voss materialized beside her, his crystalline form glowing with barely contained emotion. "When we first came to warn Earth, I hoped you might become a valuable ally. I never imagined you would catalyze a galactic revolution. Humans have a saying," she replied with a smile. "The best way to predict the future is to create it." The next few hours were a blur of diplomatic activity. The Guild's attempt at intimidation had transformed into the largest renegotiation of galactic trade agreements in known history. Representatives from dozens of species, both long independent and newly freed, joined the discussions. The Guild will retain its role as a trade facilitator. Nexus finally conceded, its hologram now sized appropriately for respectful dialogue. But we accept the necessity of reforms. All existing debt contracts will be reviewed by an independent council. Technology transfer restrictions will be lifted. And, it seemed to struggle with this last part, membership will be truly voluntary. President Zhang nodded. Those are acceptable starting points for negotiation, but the details of these reforms must be worked out with all stakeholders present, including those worlds you previously dismissed as primitive or unimportant. In the weeks that followed, Earth became the center of a new kind of galactic community. The massive space station they'd built in dimensional space was revealed and designated as neutral ground for ongoing negotiations. Species that had been separated by guild restrictions for generations came together to share knowledge and resources. Dr. Chen found herself working alongside scientists from a dozen different species, each bringing unique perspectives to shared challenges. The Sylphid's biological technology merged seamlessly with human innovation, while the Draconid's mastery of gravity opened new frontiers in exploration. We're already seeing changes across known space. General Hayes reported during one of their daily briefings. Worlds that were stuck in perpetual debt are rebuilding their industries. New trade routes are opening up through sectors the Guild had declared off-limits. It's like watching a galaxy wake up. The Guild itself was transforming, its more adaptable members embracing the new reality, while the hardliners gradually lost influence. Their vast network of trade routes and administrative systems, freed from artificial restrictions, became the foundation for something greater, a true galactic commons where all species could participate as equals. One evening, 6 months after the confrontation, Dr. Chen stood in the observation dome of the new International Space Center, watching ships from across the galaxy come and go freely through Earth's space. Beside her, Voss's crystalline form reflected the light of distant stars. "You know what the Guild's biggest mistake was?" she asked thoughtfully. "They assumed every species would react the same way to their tactics. That fear of isolation and desire for easy advancement would always win out over independence." "A rather human observation," Voss replied, his form glowing with amusement. "Most species would say their biggest mistake was underestimating Earth's technological capabilities." "That was just a symptom," she said, gesturing to the busy space lanes before them. "Their real failure was not understanding that true strength comes from connection, not control. They spent so long dividing the galaxy that they never imagined what might happen if someone started bringing it back together." Above them, the stars shone brighter in Earth's now cleaner atmosphere, and the lights of thousands of ships traced new patterns across the night sky. Patterns of freedom, cooperation, and possibility that would have been impossible under the old order. Humanity had not only broken free of the chains intended for them, they had helped forge something entirely new in their place.